Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the next episode of the 20 Somethings podcast. I'm your host, Amber Martinez, and I am so excited to be here with you. So, the title of this podcast is Friendship in Your 20s, Growing Together or Growing Apart. This episode is going to be a little bit more different just because I'm going to be opening up a lot more and I'm going to be explaining how sometimes as we get older, our mind may shift into something. I'm going to be sharing personal experiences in this episode, and yeah, so I'm excited to be here. Today, we're going to be diving into friendships in your 20s. This is the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the truth that you're going to be getting here. So, let's get right into it. Okay, so the first friend group that you will run into are the ride or die. So, these are the friends that you have known for years, okay? I have probably, well, okay, let's go back to let's go way back. So I have a friend, her name is Brianna, and we have known each other since literally pre-K. We went to the same schools growing up. We're both from Corpus. And me and her have just been super close throughout all our lives. We went to pre-K together. We went to the same elementary, same middle school, same high school, and we went to the same college, which I think was pretty cool. And when we moved to college, we actually were roommates for 3 years, I believe. Yeah, I think it was like 3 years. Um, and it was just really cool because me and her have a very funny friendship because we have gone through so many different friend groups, right? But we have always remained like this. So, like, we have gone through, I don't even know, like maybe 4 or 5 different friend groups that just I don't know, didn't work out or we just don't talk to them anymore. Or we just simply grew out of these relationships with our friends, right? Um, but me and her have just remained like this. Brianna actually graduated last semester and she moved back home, and so I haven't seen her, but we do talk every now and then. She's kind of like the type of friend to where you don't have to talk every single day, but like when you see each other, you text each other, you're like, "Oh my god, blah, 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 blah." That's literally exactly her. But yeah, so though that's the first type of friend that I'm going to be talking about. It's the first type of friend, that you can experience in your 20s. So it can be, or this can even happen, this can be somebody that you meet, your first day of classes or something. It doesn't even have to be someone that you intentionally like grew up with. Okay, the next set of friends that we are going to be talking to are the new friends from work, school, or even like networking. I know at UTSA there are so many like organizations. I was in an organization called Texas Angels at UTSA, and it is basically a women empowerment organization, and they focus a lot on like scholastic, social, sisterhood, and service. So we do those were the four main pillars, and I have created so many friends through that organization. I am not in the organization anymore just because I wanted to focus more on like myself. I love the organization, but I well, obviously I'm graduating this semester, but I really wanted to focus on my career, my future career, I guess I could say, after graduation, since I am graduating in December. I wanted to focus on my career and also myself. I got super involved in the organization, and obviously it took a lot of time from like me, and I felt like I just didn't have time for myself. It was just like a thing, and all my friends that I had met, in that group and my little group that I created had all graduated and left, and I was like, "Oh my," like it was just very different. It was a huge change. Um and it just no longer felt the same way that it used to for me, and I think too I was in the organization for, I don't know, I wanna say, like, 2 years, so I think it was just something that was, like, burnt out for me, and that, like I said, I really wanted to focus on my career, but, anyways, there are plenty of organizations in UTSA, and me personally, when I joined the organization, everyone says, "You're gonna meet so many people, you're gonna meet so many friends," and I was just like, "That's weird." Like, you just never, at least me, like, I never fully believed it until I actually made friends, and now my friends are older, and I have, friends in Dallas, I have friends in Houston, I have friends in, Austin, like, we're just all over the place, right? I'm still here in San Antonio, but, we don't talk a lot as much just because we're all so busy and we're in our lives here, but, we do hang out every once in a while, for birthdays, I'll go up to Austin, Houston, Dallas, things like that, um, and we'll just reconnect, and when you reconnect, you just get, like, that same old feeling back, but they are definitely my friends. We're definitely really close, um, and it was just such a beautiful thing, I think, just to meet friends in that way, just because it's, like, a different type of friendship, it's not somebody that you've known for years, it's somebody that you kind of, like, grew up with, I would say. One of my friends that I had met, we would both, like, go to the gym, and before we would go to the gym, we'd sit in her car, and we would have, like, a therapy session, and we would talk about our boy problems at the time, and we would just, like, go like, talk and talk and talk, and next thing you know, like, we're sitting in the gym parking lot for literally 20 minutes. I kid you not. But it was just, like, such a beautiful thing, and we were all, like, in the same age, so we could all relate to a lot of the problems that were happening, whether they were, like, situationship problems or school problems or, like, whatever it may be, so, like, it was nice because it was, we could all just, like, relate from each other, but also we can still go out and we can still have fun and we can have a wine night at home or, like, things like that, and I think that that is something that's so sweet, but although I don't talk to these friends as much anymore, they're definitely probably my lifelong friends, like, I love them so much. The next set of friends that you may have is the fun but not deep friends. So these are the friends that are strictly just for going out, okay? And there is nothing wrong with going out. There's nothing wrong with wanting to have a good time and create memories. But I will say that there are some people that strictly just like to go out. Like they can go out Monday through Sunday and just feel fine, but these are the friends that strictly love to just go out, okay? These are the friends that are like, "Oh yeah, call me whenever you're going out, text me when you're going out," and you only see them when you're going out, okay? These friends are fun, they're definitely the friends where if you're, like, in the vibe to go out and, like, party and stuff, they are there, like, call them and they will go, and if you're, like, or if it's vice versa and they just wanna go out and they're gonna call you and, force you to go out or, like, whatever the case may be, and these friends are fun. But also I think, it kinda just depends on the kind of person that you are, like, me personally, I do love to go out every now and then, but there's times where I just wanna stay home, like, my weeks are just so busy that I just don't feel the need to go out, I don't feel the need to, like, party, I'm also just not in the mood, like, I am just exhausted, um, so yeah. Okay, so next I'm going to be going into Act 2, which is why friendships change. So, something that nobody really told me about while being in your 20s is that there is so much change happening. You are having different roommates, different apartments, different peers, different, you're just there's so much change and I think in that change you get to learn a lot about yourself and growing up, my mom would always say that her grandma, which is my great grandma, would say you are who you hang around with. So like growing up, my mom was always like, remember, if you're hanging around with bad people or people that always go out or like people who, whatever the case may be, people are gonna assume you're just like them. So like it was just always something like in the back of my head that I have always thought about. And, I don't know, I would say, like, my freshman through sophomore year, this change sort of happened, I developed a change, I would say, like, in my sophomore year, but, like, my freshman year of college and I had these friends my senior year of high school. So it was like senior year going into the summer and then going into freshman year. We were all like hometown friends. It was super cool. But it was just like a drama, like friend group, I would say. Like everyone would kind of just like talk about each other, you know? And if that's what you want to do, I mean, that's great. But like me personally, it just felt kind of like a toxic environment because it also was just like like nobody was really happy of each other's accomplishments or like no one like it was just like an hostile friendship. Like it just was not well. And obviously now I can see that, but at the time I was blind and I didn't see that. But now I can like see how different it was. And I think back then in my freshman semester of college, like I just didn't really know who I was. And I think I just kind of like was like, okay, I am who they are, you know, and wouldn't do things for myself. I wouldn't, you know, like I was just stuck in that mindset of there. Like we all had the same mindset, if that makes sense. But it was just different. It was I don't know. And then sophomore year, I started working at HEB and I started working in curbside. And in curbside, their shifts were so for shoppers, you can start working you work at 5 a.m. That's the earliest shift that you can work. And as a Kirby, when I first got hired, I was a Kirby. So as a Kirby, the earliest shift you can work is 6 a.m. So I wanna say it was, like, my 2nd or 3rd shift, I was scheduled a 6 AM shift, and I was like, "Oh my gosh," like, that is so insanely early because I don't know, I have never worked that early ever for any job in my life, and I was like, "Okay, like, this is so weird," you know? And I would go to bed super late all the time. I would wake up at, like, 1 PM, do homework, like, it just wasn't, like, a good mindset that I had, but when I started working for HEB, like I said, I had the morning shift, so, like, I would go to bed early, I would wake up early, so if I'd work at 6 AM, I'd get out at, like, 12, and, I would go home, I'd eat, I'd go to the gym, I'd get some homework done. Like I would have time to be productive, but it was because I was getting up and I was going to work and like so I just started to like I guess grow to be productive and have super long days and it just kind of just shifted my mindset. And then I got promoted to a shopper, which is where you shop all the groceries. And like I said, those shifts were at 5 AM. There was times where you know, I'd have to wake up at 4:15, 4:30 and go to work, and I would get out at 1, I would get out at 12, you know? So it just that had really just shaped my mindset, and also HEB is just such an amazing company, and it helped me just grow as a person, I think, like, my communication skills has gotten better, um before HEB, I was, like, a very quiet person, I wouldn't really talk to people, but, like, just working in such, like, a friendly, positive work environment, like, their energy just went onto me, and I started to slowly open up, and I just learned a lot more about myself and, like, the work and the company, and just, like I just started to get super invested into it, and it started to reflect on to, like, my daily life, like I said, you know, I would wake up early, I go to bed early, you know, and you just sort of start to get that routine. And so the friends that I was with, we were actually roommates, right? And so I would, you know, like I said back then, I would be up super late, let's say like 3, 4 in the morning. I'd wake up at 1 p.m. the next day. Like it just wasn't healthy in any way, in my opinion. Um, and, you know, when I got this job, I was just like, "Okay, guys, like, I work at 5 AM, like, I'm going to bed." And it would be, like, 9, and they were like, "Oh my god, like, why it's so early?" Like and they were just kind of upset because I wasn't doing what I used to do, but it's like, I have to wake up at 5 AM, like, I was just in a different mindset. It shifted my mind, and I just started to do that. I started to cook at home more instead of going out. I started to you know, it's just, like, little things like that, and it really helped me just, I guess, grow as a person, and then I started making my own friends, and then I joined the organization that I joined, and, like, I just opened up my eyes, I guess I could say, And I was like, "You know what? Like, I like this life. I like this mindset. I don't wanna live how I used to be living, waking up at 1 p.m., doing nothing with my day, doing homework, like, as soon as it's due." Like, it just wasn't a mindset for me personally. Like, it just wasn't something I wanted. It wasn't something that I enjoyed, and once I tried something else out, I was like, "Okay, this seems more realistic. This seems more," it just fit me more. Yeah, and then like I said, I started to meet other friends within the organization that I had joined, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, like there are people like me. There are people like me who have to wake up at 5 a.m. for work. There are people like me who are locked in on their mindset, who are they're interested in their education. They're trying to better themselves. They're going to the gym. And I think, thinking about what my mom's grandmother had said, about who you hang around with, and I was like, these are the kind of people that I need to be with. This is how I want to be, so I need to surround myself with these people. And it was just something like that, but like that was probably one of like my biggest like shifts that I've experienced in my 20s and like in my college life. And honestly, I think that it was just it was, like, something really nice to, like, witness, I guess, because I never thought that. These were the people that I left high school with, I left my hometown with, and, like, now I don't really talk to them anymore, and it's not that there's drama, there's no beef, there's no tea, it's just, like, my goals and my mindset are just different than yours, and I don't wanna surround myself with people who don't have the same goals as me. I wanna have a friend that motivates me, I wanna have a friend that pushes me to be my best. I wanna have friends that do the same things I do or like the same things I like. And it was just something that, like, I realized, like, I'm in control of my own life and I can do what I want. I can meet the people that I want. I can have my own friends. Like, it's just something that is just so I would say crucial while being in your 20s, because in your 20s, you do a lot of growing, okay? It can be through friendships, it can be through your career, it can be through education, like, it can be so much that you're experiencing, but growth is just constantly happening. You're constantly evolving. There's things are just always changing. But yeah, so as a personal example, that was a huge, like, thing in my life, and during, like, the shift of that, I kind of felt like I felt bad in a way, because I was like, "I'm not talking to them as much, I'm hanging out with these friends more than I am with but it was just like, it was different. It was something I just felt more comfortable with these friends than I did with them, but like I said, like, my mindset, like, shifted, and it was just something that was just so different than what I was used to, and it was something that I wanted to do, but I did feel bad and growing up now and looking back, and I'm like, that has honestly probably been one of the best decisions that I have made in my entire life because I don't know if I were to stick to those old friends, if I would still be where I'm at now, about to graduate. I don't know if my friends from over there have even graduated yet. Like, I don't even know if they're still attending school, like, and I'm just like, wow, like, I think a lot sometimes if I hadn't switched over, if I hadn't grown, where would I be? Would I have been a dropout? Would I have like, I don't know. I really don't know, but I am definitely glad that it made me realize the kind of person that I am and the kind of person that I wanna be, and it definitely reflects onto who I am as a person now, and it makes me, feel really good about myself, and it makes me feel in control about my life. So, in your 20s, that's something that not a lot of people say is that growth is a very important role in your 20s, and although it can be scary, it's for the best, and although it may not seem that it's for the best right now, it truly is, and, you may not realize it now, but later on in life, you're gonna be like, "Wow," once you're out of a situation that you're in, you're gonna be like, "Wow, I never saw that back then, or I never even knew that I was in that circumstance back then. But it's definitely something that makes you feel really good about yourself and the decisions that you make. Alright, guys, and that is gonna be it for this episode. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe for more. I'll see you next time. Bye.